Canada is known around the world for its polite people, beautiful mountains, and freezing winters. But beneath that friendly surface lies a massive, quiet machine of extreme wealth. When we talk about rich people in Canada, the news often points to young tech founders or cryptocurrency billionaires who just made their money yesterday. But true power in Canada does not belong to the new money. It belongs to the old money, the heritage families. These are the dynasties that have been building their empires for over 100 years. They do not just live in Canada. They built the roads, they own the food supply, they control the internet, and they bankroll the country. Today, we are taking you behind the closed doors to rank the top 10 richest old money families in Canada for 2026. We will look at their updated net worths, how their great-grandparents started these businesses from nothing, and the smart, powerful moves they use to make sure their families stay rich forever. Get ready to see the hidden side of Canadian wealth. Here is the countdown. Number 10, the Molson family. Starting our list at number 10 is a family that is basically Canadian royalty. The Molson family has an estimated net worth of $2 billion. If you have ever watched a hockey game or ordered a beer in Canada, you know this name. Their story started way back in 1786. John Molson traveled from England to Montreal and opened a small brewery on the banks of the St. Lawrence River. It is now the oldest brewery in North America. But John Molson did not just stop at making beer. He was a true pioneer. He used his beer money to build the first steamboats in Canada and helped fund the country's first public railway, essentially laying the groundwork for Canadian transportation. Fast forward to the modern era, and the family executed a massive merger in 2005 with the American brand Coors, creating Molson Coors, one of the biggest beverage companies on the planet. Even more famous than their beer, however, is their grip on sports and entertainment. Led today by Jeff Molson, the family owns the Montreal Canadiens, the most historic hockey team in the NHL. But they did not just buy the team, they bought the arena. They own the Bell Center, and they own Evenco, a massive entertainment company that puts on thousands of concerts and festivals every year. Their power move is owning the culture. The Molson family understood early on that people love sports, they love music, and they love to celebrate. By combining beer, hockey, and live entertainment, they essentially bought a piece of the Canadian identity. Wars have happened, recessions have come and gone, but people never stop drinking beer, watching hockey, or going to concerts. Every time a fan buys a ticket, a hot dog, or a drink at a major event in Montreal, the family wins. This cultural monopoly ensures that their wealth is completely bulletproof, passed down safely from generation to generation. Number 9, the Sobey family. At number 9, we look to the east coast of Canada to find the Sobey family. They command a solid net worth of $3.0 billion. This family built their empire on something every single person needs to do, buy groceries. The story began in 1907 in a small town in Nova Scotia. John W. Sobey started a humble business delivering meat using a horse and wagon. He was just a local butcher trying to feed his neighbors. It was his son, Frank Sobey, who had the vision to expand that little horse and wagon business into a full-service supermarket. Fast forward to today, and that vision has grown into the Empire Company. They own the Sobeys supermarket chain, along with Safeway, Freshco, and Foodland. They control over 1,500 stores across the entire country, employing well over 100,000 people. To fight off modern giants like Amazon and Walmart, the family recently invested heavily in massive, robotic warehouses to perfect their grocery delivery service. The smartest thing the Sobey family did was hold on to their small-town values while operating like a giant corporation. But their ultimate power move is real estate dominance. They do not just make money by selling you apples and bread. They created their own separate real estate company called Crombie REIT. Through this company, they own the actual land and the massive buildings where their supermarkets sit. They literally pay rent to themselves. By owning the physical dirt beneath their stores, they save billions of dollars in leasing fees and hold on to physical assets that constantly go up in value. They turned a simple meat delivery route into a national food and real estate fortress that keeps their family wealthy year after year. Number 8. The Saputo family. Coming in at number 8 is the Saputo family. They have a massive net worth of $5.7 billion. Their story is the ultimate immigrant success story, proving that sheer grit can build a dynasty. In 1954, Giuseppe Saputo arrived in Canada from Sicily. He had only $500 and a bicycle. His family had been making cheese for a long time back in Italy, so he started doing the exact same thing in Montreal. He spent his days making fresh mozzarella and his nights delivering it to local pizzerias on his bike. Under the leadership of his son, Lino Saputo, and now his grandson, Lino Saputo Jr., the company exploded in size. Today, Saputo Incorporated is one of the top 10 dairy companies in the entire world. They sell cheese, milk, and dairy products in over 40 countries. But the family's interests go far beyond the kitchen. Joey Saputo, another member of the family, took their wealth into the sports world, founding the CF Montreal professional soccer team and even buying the Bologna football club over in Italy, tying their wealth back to their homeland. The family's financial power move is aggressive global buying and future-proofing. They did not just stay in Canada and wait for people to buy their cheese. Whenever they made a massive profit, they used that cash to buy other dairy companies in America, Australia, and the United Kingdom. They simply bought out their competition. And as the world changes, they are adapting. They have started buying up plant-based and vegan dairy brands so they can capture that market too. By owning so many different brands around the world, they protect themselves. If milk prices go up in one country, they still make billions in another. They turned a $500 investment into a global food empire, proving that old-fashioned hard work can create unstoppable wealth. Number 7. The Richardson family. At number 7, we travel to the cold, flat prairies of Western Canada to meet the Richardson family. They hold a massive net worth of $6.0 billion. Their wealth is incredibly historic. It is actually older than the country of Canada itself. In 1857, James Richardson was working as a simple tailor. Sometimes, local farmers did not have the cash to pay for their clothes, so they bartered, paying him in bags of grain. James quickly realized a powerful truth. Selling grain to the masses was far more profitable than making shirts for individuals. Today, guided by Hartley Richardson, James Richardson and Sons is a massive, quiet giant headquartered in Winnipeg. They control a huge part of the global farming industry. If you look at the massive grain elevators scattered across the Canadian prairies, or the giant port terminals in Vancouver loading ships bound for Asia, you are looking at Richardson territory. They move millions of tons of wheat, canola, and oats from Canadian farms to the rest of the world. But they did not stop at farming. They used their agricultural money to buy oil companies, gas pipelines, and even created their own private wealth management firm, Richardson Wealth, to manage money for other rich Canadians. Their power move is being the invisible middleman. The Richardson family does not care about being famous. You will not see their name on flashy sports stadiums or shiny billboards. But every time a farmer harvests a field or a massive cargo ship leaves a port full of food, the Richardson family takes a cut. Because they control the actual physical flow of resources that keep the world fed and fueled, their billions are completely safe from the unpredictable ups and downs of the stock market. Number 6. The Desmarais family. Moving up to number 6, we find the Desmarais family, sitting on a huge net worth of $9.9 billion. If you want to understand how massive wealth intersects with highest-level politics in Canada, you have to look directly at this family. The empire was built by the late Paul Desmarais Sr. He started his career in the 1950s by buying a nearly bankrupt bus company in Ontario for practically nothing, just a few $1,000s and the assumption of its massive debts. Through brilliant, ruthless business moves, he transformed that small, struggling transportation company into the Power Corporation of Canada. Today, Power Corporation is a massive financial monster. They own huge life insurance companies like Great-West Lifeco and wealth management firms that control the retirement savings of millions of people across the globe. But they aren't just stuck in the past. They are also the quiet money behind modern tech giants, heavily backing popular trading apps like Wealthsimple through their venture capital arms. However, the family's true power move is political networking. The Desmarais family is famous for having incredibly close, personal relationships with prime ministers, presidents, and global leaders. Over the decades, former prime ministers from both sides of the political spectrum have either sat on their corporate boards or sought their counsel. They understand that to protect billions of dollars, you need to have a permanent seat at the table where the laws are written. They operate at the very highest levels of global society, famously hosting world leaders, royalty, and corporate titans at their massive, highly secure private estate in Ségard, Quebec. By combining absolute financial control over people's retirement money with top-level political influence, the Desmarais family has built a dynasty that is completely woven into the structural fabric of the country. Number 5. The Rogers family. Breaking into the top 5, we meet the Rogers family. They command a massive net worth of $12.4 billion. If you live in Canada, you interact with this family every single day. The late Ted Rogers started the empire in the 1960s with a mix of borrowed money and pure vision, buying a single FM radio station in Toronto. While others thought radio was a dying medium, Ted saw the future. He aggressively expanded into cable television, and then took a massive, heavily leveraged gamble on wireless cell phones years before anyone else believed they would be a necessity. Today, Rogers Communications is a giant telecommunications monopoly. They provide the cell phone service, the home internet, and the television lines for millions of Canadians. Recently, they solidified their absolute dominance by completing a massive multi-billion-dollar merger with Shaw Communications. But their wealth isn't just in cables and cell towers. They own the Toronto Blue Jays baseball team, the stadium they play in, and have a massive ownership stake in Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, meaning they essentially co-own the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Raptors. Their power move is the toll booth strategy. The Rogers family controls the critical infrastructure of modern life. You cannot apply for a job, talk to your family, watch a movie, or follow your favorite sports team without paying for the internet, a phone plan, or a cable subscription. Because Canada has very few telecom companies, the competition is extremely low. This means the Rogers family can charge some of the highest wireless prices in the world and collect a steady, guaranteed stream of cash every single month from millions of people. Despite recent high-profile boardroom drama and internal family feuds, they own the digital toll booth, making their fortune completely unbreakable. Number 3. The Irving family. Entering the top 3, we find a family that basically operates as their own sovereign government. The Irving family commands a staggering net worth of $14.4 billion. Their story starts in the 1880s with J.D. Irving, who owned a small sawmill, a general store, and a farm in New Brunswick. But it was his son, Casey Irving, who turned that small local lumber business into an absolute monster of industry through sheer force of will and aggressive expansion. Today, the Irving family controls nearly every single part of the economy in eastern Canada. They own massive oil refineries, endless chains of gas stations, global shipping fleets, railways, and huge fleets of transport trucks. They are also the largest private landowners in the country, owning millions of acres of forests. They even own the massive Halifax shipyards, securing multi-billion-dollar contracts to build the combat fleets for the Canadian Navy. Their power move is total regional capture and extreme vertical integration. If you live in New Brunswick, it is almost impossible to spend money without giving it to the Irvings. You buy gas from their stations, you buy lumber harvested from their private forests, and you drive on roads paved by their construction companies. For decades, they even owned every major English-language newspaper in the province, allowing them to control the public narrative. They own the entire supply chain from the dirt on the ground to the final product delivered to your door. Operating with extreme secrecy and utilizing offshore trusts, they have completely dominated one specific region of the world, creating a private economic kingdom that generates billions of dollars in pure, uninterrupted profit. Number 2. The Weston family. At number 2, we meet the family that literally feeds the nation. The Weston family has a massive net worth of $18 billion. The business started all the way back in 1882 when George Weston opened a small bread bakery in Toronto. He worked tirelessly to bake good bread and deliver it fresh on horse-drawn wagons. Fast forward through a few generations of calculated acquisitions, and today, Galen Weston Jr. leads a massive, inescapable corporate empire known as George Weston Limited. They own Loblaws, which is the largest grocery store chain in Canada. They also own Shoppers Drug Mart, the biggest pharmacy chain in the country, alongside massive clothing brands like Joe Fresh. They even control President's Choice, one of the most successful private label food brands in the world. Their power move is the absolute vertical integration of daily life, paired with data dominance. The Weston family does not just want to sell you your groceries. They want to sell you your medicine, your winter coats, and your banking services. Through their PC Optimum Rewards program, they hold the purchasing data of millions of Canadians, knowing exactly what you buy and when you buy it. And just like the Sobey family, the Westons are real estate geniuses. Through their spin-off company called Choice Properties REIT, they own the actual land and the commercial buildings where thousands of their stores are located. They literally pay rent to themselves, turning a massive business expense into a profit center. Despite facing heavy public scrutiny during times of inflation and rising food costs, their business model remains untouchable. By controlling the food supply, the medicine, the data, and the land, the Weston family ensures that no matter how hard life gets for regular people, their billions are always protected and constantly growing. Number 1. The Thompson family. Finally, sitting at the absolute top of the mountain, we have the richest family in Canada by a massive, almost incomprehensible margin. The Thompson family commands an unbelievable net worth of $98.1 billion. Their wealth is so large, it equals the combined net worth of millions of average Canadians. The dynasty was started in the 1930s by Roy Thomson. He was a struggling salesman trying to sell radios in rural Ontario, but nobody was buying them because there were no good radio stations to listen to. So, solving his own problem, he just built his own radio station. He eventually moved into newspapers, buying up small-town papers across the country and famously declaring that owning a media outlet was like having a license to print money. Today, his grandson, the highly reclusive David Thompson, leads the family. Their main source of wealth is Thomson Reuters, one of the biggest and most powerful news and information companies on earth. But they are far more than just journalists. They also own the Globe and Mail newspaper, possess massive investments in telecommunications through Bell Canada, own colossal real estate portfolios via Osmington, and even hold a major ownership stake in the NHL's Winnipeg Jets. Their ultimate power move is absolute information dominance. In the modern world, data is vastly more valuable than gold or oil. The Thompson family does not just report the daily news. They provide the highly complex, specialized financial data, legal research software, and tax information that the biggest banks, governments, and law firms in the world absolutely need to survive. Wall Street traders and global hedge funds literally cannot function without the data terminals that Thomson Reuters sells them for massive premium subscriptions. The family operates with extreme privacy, rarely giving interviews and keeping entirely out of the public eye while amassing one of the world's most valuable private art collections. By owning the flow of the world's most critical professional information, the Thompson family has built a fortress of wealth that operates completely above the normal economy. They are truly in a league of their own. These 10 families show what it really takes to build lasting, unstoppable wealth. They did not make their billions overnight. They built strong, essential businesses over many decades. They started with small bakeries, tiny breweries, and local delivery routes, and grew them into global giants. Because they own the land, the food supply, the banks, and the information networks, their money is extremely safe. Even when the world economy faces terrible times, these families stay at the top because they control the things people simply cannot live without. They represent true old money power. It is a quiet, highly organized wealth that values patience and complete control over flashy displays of luxury. They are the silent engines powering the entire Canadian economy. If you enjoyed learning about the secret lives of the true elite, please hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe to Global Wealth Status for more amazing videos breaking down the hidden empires of billionaires and the realities of extreme wealth.